Hello, my name's Tim Siddons from Blackmagic Design. We're here at the Blackmagic Design booth at IBC in 2012. Thank you everybody for watching this video clip and joining us here at the show. I'm going to take you through, in the next few minutes, some news and information about the Blackmagic Design camera. I know it's something that many people are excited about, and hopefully I'll get the chance now to give you a bit more detail about how the camera works, what it is, and also why Blackmagic Design have made a camera. So let's start with that first bit about why we've made a camera. And I know many people have wondered why a company who's been very focused on post-production is now entering the production space with making something like a camera. So, reason being that Blackmagic Design have been so focused around the post-production market for the last 10 years. All of our customers using our products, whether that be the Decklink products, right the way through to DaVinci Resolve, have been taking that content from cameras. And we've noticed that many of our customers are doing very interesting things with their content. Special effects and color correction and grading, trying to create content that looks beautiful, with beautiful looking images. Content that has that filmic, that cinematic look. And over the course of the last 3 or 4 years, the popularity of many of the DSLRs in the market has meant that more and more content that's been produced and color corrected and graded using Resolve was acquired on DSLR type cameras because it gives you that fantastic depth of field and that filmic type look. But what we did realize was that whilst the optics on those types of cameras are fantastic, the finished image quality wasn't quite high enough for the needs of many of the people that were using those products. And the feedback that we got and the information we got back was that the tools are great, but sadly, because of the compression and the low dynamic range of those products, it meant that we couldn't really get the detail and the information to make something that really represents digital cinema from those kinds of technologies. So whilst we were very familiar with the post-production process, we were using always third-party cameras that weren't designed to acquire content for post-production. So we thought, well, why don't we do something about it? And this is what we've come up with. So this is a camera that's been designed with post-production in mind. And it does that in a number of different ways. Let me take you through them. So the first thing is, the digital cinema camera has a high resolution sensor. It captures a 2.5K image. Now it's 2.5K because it means when you take that image and scale it down to a deliverable, either at 2K or at HD, you get beautiful anti-aliasing around the image. So the finished image quality is very, very high off the sensor. Second thing that's very important is the dynamic range. Now, many cameras have sensors which capture almost like a video-style dynamic range, maybe 6 to 8 stops. The digital cinema camera is designed to emulate as closely as possible film. So this will give you 13 stops of dynamic range. So you get a huge amount of data from the highlights all the way through to the shadows. So when you take this image into the post-production process and you color correct, then you can capture all of the information and deliver that so it looks like a film image. The third thing that makes it so important is the type of file that it writes. Now, many cameras capture compressed data, and quite often these cameras will capture a compressed data that's designed for delivery, like H.264. The digital cinema camera has been designed for post-production. So this uses both codecs and the ability to capture raw data in a file format that are native to the post-production process. So that means with this camera, you have the options of recording Cinema DNG as a 12-bit RAW file at 2.5K. I can record natively to ProRes, which is fantastic for my Final Cut Pro type workflows, or I can capture to DNx HD. So that makes it native to my Avid workflows. So no matter what process I might be going through, whether that's special effects, whether that's into the NLE space, I know I can record natively into a format and a codec that's going to give me a very fast, very smooth, and also a lossless workflow through my post-production process. So I don't have to do any kind of transcoding in order for me to view my content or to deliver my content to my final viewer. So everything I do within this camera has been about high quality, it's been about maximum resolution, it's about high dynamic range, and it's about natively going from the camera through to post without losing any of that integrity or the data and the information that the camera can record. So they're the key things about the camera. Also within the camera, let me take you through some of the features. On the side of the camera, if you can see it here, is an SSD port. So this is how we record the data from the camera. So this is using a standard SSD disk. So it's not a proprietary disk from Blackmagic Design. One of the decision-making processes we went through with the camera was to make sure that any kind of connectivity on the camera was as standard as possible, so it makes it easy to use. So this is an IT standard SSD disk you can buy from your local computer shop. By plugging it into my camera, I can record straight to SSD as either my RAW file, my ProRes, or my DNX HD. I can take it out of my camera and plug it straight into my workstation, and I can access my material straight from the SSD. Very, very fast, very reliable, and also a very low-cost way of getting data in and out of my camera. On the other side of the camera are all of my connections. So here I have, firstly, my power. Now the camera has an inbuilt battery. The inbuilt battery will last for about 2 hours. That battery is fantastic for either mobility, for areas of accessibility. Perhaps it's in a situation, perhaps it's mounted to a car or on a helicopter. I don't have to have any external power adapter attached to the camera. It's also fantastic because it means I have a redundant power in the camera. So should have been a situation where perhaps I have a V-mount battery block, or I'm using a Sony battery with an adapter to power the camera, and I need to change my batteries, it doesn't interrupt the shooting of the camera, because the camera will automatically switch between external and internal power supply. So I have an internal battery pack that gives me redundancy for my power and gives me a fantastic backup. It has a Thunderbolt port. This is the first camera ever to have Thunderbolt built in. Now, that means I can transfer my video files straight to a Thunderbolt device like a MacBook, straight from the camera. So I can take my uncompressed data straight out of the camera into my MacBook, and I can do my on-set grading, I can record my video straight into my computer. It also gives me the ability to take the video information to the computer and run our Ultrascope software on the computer. So on a MacBook workstation, I can have access to my histograms, my RGB levels, my audio levels, and I can see all of that as a set of scopes directly connected to the camera, so I can monitor exactly what's happening, and I can see if I'm perhaps blowing my highlights or I'm crushing my blacks using my waveform and vector scopes on the Ultrascope software. It has a standard SDI out, so this is a full-size BNC. So unlike many cameras which have proprietary connections, this is an industry standard SDI output, which is fantastic for monitoring and makes monitoring very easy. It has audio in, and I have here 1/4-inch jacks of balanced or unbalanced audio, and I have headphones for monitoring my audio. And at the very top, we have a remote connection. So this is for lank control of the camera. So if the camera is perhaps on a pole cam, or it's on a rig, and I want to have remote control, then I can do that via a remote control device using standard lank. On the front of the camera is the lens, and here I'm using a Zeiss CP2 Compact Prime, and this is connected using an EF mount. So this is a standard Canon EF mount. So if you already have an investment in Canon glass, perhaps if you're using something like the 5D, then any of your 5D, your Canon EF fit lenses, whether EF or EFS, they will fit quite happily onto the Canon EF mount camera. We've had a lot of interest with the camera and the quality of the signal that the camera records from customers who wanted to perhaps not use Canon mount lenses. They had a big investment in PL mount lenses or in Nikon lenses, or perhaps also in micro four thirds lenses. So at this show, we've announced there's a brand new version of the camera. It will ship in December, and the new version of the camera has a much shorter flange. This is the flange, a much shorter flange, and it uses the micro four thirds mount. So it makes it very easy to adapt to other types of mount, perhaps like PL, like Nikon and micro four thirds, whereas EF mount is a little bit harder to use in those types of applications. So you'll see a few pictures of the new version of the camera in a few minutes as we go through this video. So this is the new Cinema camera. It comes with 2 pieces of software to assist that process of getting the best out of the camera. The first one is the Ultrascope software, which we spoke about earlier. And the second one is a very important one. It's DaVinci Resolve. DaVinci is known as being the #1 color correction software in the industry. It's used by every major studio, and it is without doubt the best color correction and grading software you could ever possibly have. You get a free copy of that software with the camera. It comes included in the box. So you know that from the moment you purchase the camera, you have your entire workflow provided for you to get beautiful looking cinematic images using that high dynamic range, the high resolution sensor, using codecs or RAW to get maximum possible quality through your workflow, and then DaVinci Resolve to make those images look beautiful. This is the digital cinema camera. It's available now. and its price is €2,495. Thank you very much.